Hi guys, welcome to the Game of the Week here on the Raven Gaming YouTube channel. This week's Game of the Week is Sea of Thieves. The following audio is an excerpt taken from episode 22 of our podcast, the Raven Gaming Squadcast. Feel free to check out on all streaming platforms. Next up, we have Game of the Week. Last week's Game of the Week, Sea of Thieves, was chosen by our very own Guilty Grey. I'll kick it over to you first for this.
This was an interesting one, and one that I kind of wanted to try out for a while. So obviously we've tried out now Sea of Thieves for a week. Not really a week, we got to play it towards the end of the week, but we did play quite a bit. Fully co-op. Interesting premise, interesting game, but there are certain things to it that I just don't like. I don't know what your impression was of it, but I mean, it's fun to kind of go around on the ship with your friends, but I think it's a bit too simmy. You know, you have to like raise the sail. You have to lower the sail. You know, you want to go slower. You have to swell the sail down. You have to put down the anchor. You have to slowly wind the anchor back up again if you want to move. And you can't park, and you can get trapped in narrow spaces, as we found out for half an hour last night. So it's an interesting concept, but I think they could easily, and by now I think they should have done more to flesh it out. We were discussing this earlier about this gentleman who absolutely whooped our asses yesterday, and we assumed it was because he was a higher level, but it turns out there is no levels. It's just
don't say that, Gray. Don't say that. You're
it's
ruining
true,
the illusion I've created in my mind. He was a level 100.
He was a level 100.
He had the best ship.
That is a sloop.
Oh, damn it.
It's an interesting game. I think that if it did have that progression, if you could get the better ships and the more powerful ships, better cannons, better weapons, I think I'd enjoy it more. I know their kind of idea around it is that this would break the game. It's a massively multiplayer game. If anyone hasn't played it, sorry, just to reiterate, it's made by Rare, which is owned by Xbox. It's been out for a few years. This came out in, I believe, 2017. It's been constantly updated. It's only just now got its first season. So season 1's just been released on it. It's a massively multiplayer game, but you basically, until recently, all you did was go around and collect bounties or collect things for the merchants or collect these gold hoarder chests and bring them back to them. They've recently added campaign missions, which we didn't try out, but they are there. Which we can try out maybe when we get back on it, if we do. Which I suppose would be interesting because you have this kind of world with other people living in it, and you have the campaign at the same time. So you'd be doing the campaign and come across other ships, which would obviously would imagine it would add an element of interesting gameplay mechanic to it. But the thing that really wound me up was that the game is quite obtuse in the way it works. So I mean, you probably found this too. You dig up a buried treasure chest. You then have to pick up said chest, carry it back to your ship and put it down. Then go back out. If you've got anything else to pick up, pick that up and take it back to your chest and put it down, and rinse and repeat. Now that's okay, but today I was playing it. I came across an island that had 5 buried chests on it. Now, that's a lot of time to dig up each chest individually, pick every chest up individually, and carry it back to the ship individually. All the game would need to do is give you kind of an inventory to store these things, to take it and store it, so that you could then go to the merchants and pay it off. I think they do it for more the simmy nature of it, but I don't appreciate it because I think it just makes the game a bit too. Yeah, I was getting bored basically digging up a chest and going back and going back. So that was a bit boring for me, and I thought that was something that they should have kind of made easier for people, just for quality of life. Not to make the game any easier, but for a quality of life thing. And then another thing I kind of realized today is that there's no way within this game. So if you're halfway through a mission, I think this happened to us, didn't it? The first time we played it, obviously, we were playing during the day. We did the mission, and we had this stuff. And obviously we logged off because I had to go and make lunch. So I turned it off and we were doing lunch. When I turned the game back on, it was gone. So there's no continuous progression of stuff. So if you have something on your boat, when you leave that game session, whatever's on your boat is gone. You return to your game, it's a fresh boat, all your loot's gone. Which in a game where you think about it, especially in life, if you when you're living your life, anything can happen. Your internet could cut out, your power could cut out. You could go have to do something quickly and come back. You're not going to leave the game on for that time, but you're going to lose all the stuff you've worked for. So theoretically, you could have gone around these islands, got all this stuff all at once, thinking, you know what, I'll get it all, and then I'll go back and kind of pay it all off or sell it all once I get back to the outpost when I'm ready. But you can't. You have to go. So again today the same thing happened. I had these 5 chests and then I had to go make lunch. But I had to wait to go make lunch because I had to then take my boat back to the outpost and then individually pick up every chest, go to the merchant, sell it, go back to my ship, get the chest, go back to it. And the merchants aren't close to the ship. They're on the land. So you have to go down the harbour, onto the beach, over to the land, sell the chest, go back up again, get your next chest, go back. I just thought to myself, it's so unnecessarily obtuse, so long-winded. And you could easily I think they need to make the boats persistent, right? I know that'd be quite difficult, but just have a space within the boat where you can store things. So that if you store things in that part of the boat and you log out, the game remembers those things are stored in your boat. So when you log in the next time, because I know you can choose a different boat every time you log in, but if you have this one room in every boat, when you log back in, your stuff will just be in that, And it feels like that's something that's possible. Like it doesn't seem beyond the realms of possibility in an MMO game. Like I wouldn't play World of Warcraft and imagine that all my gear I get in one game sitting would not be there when I return. But this does do that, and I even got pissed off because another thing, not to rant, I will let you talk in a minute, but the game doesn't set markers, and you can't set markers, and I think you should be able to. Like I was playing on my own, and I was marking an island, going into, you have to go downstairs to the table to where you're going. And I was having to run back upstairs, steer the ship, and then if I was going off course, I'd have to run downstairs, check the map, shit, I'm off course, run back upstairs, readjust my course, and carry on. It's quite awkward. If they had like an indicator in the sky of where you've marked, I know it's kind of, sure it's realism breaking, but you also have giant floating fucking skulls and red tornadoes and a giant megalodon which is glowing blue. Like it's not that far fetched to think, okay, this would work. And I was between 2 missions and I was going between 2 islands and my ship randomly sank and I don't know what happened to it. It just sank. Like there was nothing wrong with it. I don't know if it was I hit a storm and the storm sank me, but I was sailing my ship and then it started sinking. Now I had shit on my ship and I was quite upset with this. I had quite a lot, and it sank. And you see it all kind of come up to the top, and you go, okay, so it's still there. It's still in the world. You can retrieve it. So I got respawned back on the land, got back onto another ship. But I had no idea when it was I crashed. The game doesn't mark the area you crashed for you to go back and get your stuff, so it's near impossible for you to find it again. What you'd have to do is basically have a teammate there and try and make your way to that teammate to then pick the stuff back up again.
Yeah.
But even that would be hard because the teammate would have to guide you to that. I don't know. I just feel like for a game to be enjoyable, they have to make it slightly less realistic. I think you should have an auto dock system, so you can just go, look, I'm near a dock, I want a dock, and it just docks you. As game breaking as that might be, I think you should have markers. I think you should have waypoints, just so that if you are playing on your own, or if something does happen and you lose, or instead of working for hours and losing everything instantly, you can have a chance to get back to it. Even Dark Souls allows you to get back to your stuff,
Yeah.
And so you can get back and you can collect your things, and then you're not gonna kind of lose out. And also this notion of ferrying things back and forth a lot is you can play the game, do one mission in 1 hour, and the main bulk of the mission will take you 10 minutes. But the hour is you going to it, getting it, digging it up, picking it up, taking it to the boat, going back on the land, getting another thing, bring it back to the boat, then jumping on your boat, then going back to the outpost, then taking it from the outpost. It's just, it's very much toing and froing. And for such a fun concept, those kind of things ruin it for me.
No,
What do you think?
I think you covered most of it. To be fair, like saying there were just parts of it where there was just like the toing and froing was a bit too much. the getting the ship caught up. I mean, it was fun in essence. Certain parts of it, like having that little fight with that guy, was fun. But I mean, for fuck's sake, we like I said to you yesterday, made the Last Jedi analogy where we just pelted him with shots, and then when the smoke cleared, he was still floating, and I don't understand that. We hit him with more shots than Big at a stop sign. It was fucking ridiculous. He should have he should have
Get
he
out the
should
way, yo! Get out the way. Yo.
yeah. And he still rolled off like nothing. And
Yeah,
then he took us out in his little schooner, which was, don't get me wrong, I actually kind of enjoyed it, but the amount of shots we put into that guy, he wasn't even on the boat when we first started. But yeah, I did
yeah,
enjoy it. It was fun. I think it's, once again, it's one of those games that I think with more people, if you're chatting in a group, you're playing it, a lot of these things won't be as much of a issue because you have a bigger crew for one. But no, yeah, the inventory would definitely be a good thing. I mean, the one thing I did was I got that treasure chest and I put like all the skulls in it and just carried the one chest. But you can't put a
yeah.
chest inside a
That's
chest.
handy. Yeah, and also you don't find the chest all the time. So I think when I went today to hand in my skulls once I'd done all the bounties, I had 7 skulls.
That's, yeah.
So because sometimes you get 2 skulls, so like you get a captain and their first mate sometimes.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you get that, it's 2 skulls apiece. So you end up with more. It's just silly that you can't just store, especially the skulls. Like the chests, okay, fine. You can think, oh, it's a chest, right? Quite big. But the skulls, they're just skulls, right? You have coconuts and cannonballs, big planks of wood in your inventory, and a sniper rifle. But the game's like, nope, you can't put a skull in your bag. That's bad juju.
No.
um, I just yeah. I mean, obviously, we haven't tried the campaign, and I think that's something we would maybe need to try and do. I didn't even know there was a campaign until today. It's just because I was googling what is the point.
What
I
is
think
the point of Sea of Thieves?
it's never that's exactly my search history right now, and it's never a good point it's never a good thing when you want to Google what's the point in the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
think?
of course.
Do you know what I think the point of this game is? And it's something that is cool, but it wouldn't grip me for a long time. This is a Bant game. Does that make sense?
What, you just play it to have
You play it with your mates to have
yeah,
Bants, right? To get
yeah.
into silly situations, attacking other ships, fighting a kraken, fighting some skeleton pirates. You do that kind of stuff just to laugh. But it's not a game you'd be like, oh, bruv, we got to get on it and do this rogue skull mission and get to level blah blah. There's no progression, and all the stuff you can buy is cosmetic. So theoretically, there's no point in actually buying.
Mm.
You're literally just saving up, and some of it's expensive, like 49,000 gold for a new hull, but it doesn't do
Wow.
anything. It doesn't give, it's just a different color.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually everyone's going to have everything, right? Because you've got nothing else to spend your money on, so you
Yeah,
just got to
eventually just
go
gonna
through
have
it
an
all.
endless amount of money that you won't be able to use.
Yeah, and it also feels weird that they've just released season 1 now in 2021 when the game was released in 2017.
I think that a lot of companies are trying to bring life back into their games now with the Game Pass and the new the way things are now. I think it can work. It can bring new people to your game if you put the marketing out for season 1 and people go, oh, I can play it for free as part of Game Pass. Let me check this out. And
I mean, it's been on my Facebook a lot since we started playing it. It's been all over my Facebook, like adverts for it and stuff. They have actually got this thing. I did check out their website earlier to see what was in the update this season 1. So obviously you've got this Tales, just like kind of like a campaign. They have added in new. So we've got the free merchants we're using. There are other ones as well
okay,
that you can kind of do. There's the ghost ships. They're actually quite new. I know we got wrecked by some ghost ships, didn't we?
yeah, they sucked.
So they're actually new. And then the Megalodon's new as well. So that's a new entry. So the giant shark thing is a new entry. Even the tutorial is a new entry. That only came out last year.
No,
That tutorial, yeah. So I didn't realize that. Obviously, never played it before.
but before that, nobody knew what they were doing.
Basically, yeah. But they run a really interesting scheme in this where they support content creators.
Okay,
So if a content creator wants to create a series based around Sea of Thieves, it's actually one of the easiest games to create content for, because they'll coach you and help you out with regards to making the content and also with regards to kind of spreading that content out around through its own various channels,
Mm.
which is a bit strange. But yeah,
That's pretty
so
cool.
I mean, I probably will play it again. Like I said to you earlier, I think I want to take on the Kraken. I want to beat that, and I want to maybe like beat some ghost ships and stuff. The only thing that does make me feel a bit disheartened is the fact that when we came across that skull thing, there was a lot of ghost ships, and my impression of the game was kind of like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, when you used to come across the Man of Wars and stuff. And if you hadn't upgraded the Jackdaw, you couldn't take it on.
Mm.
You had to get the better shit, the better hull, the better ramming, the better cannons, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, when I honestly saw that, I thought, fucking hell. Like, when I get a big ship and it's got all this shit decked out, I'm gonna love this. Like sailing around and just caning these guys with my cannons. But now I realise that that's not gonna happen because we're always gonna have the same ship, always gonna have the same cannons. It's gonna look different.
Yeah, that
So
was disappointing to find out.
yeah, it's still gonna be quite insurmountable. You know, like the odds that. I mean, maybe it's more about skill, yeah, sure, but it still seems a bit like quite a lot for a game with no real like progression or or like scaling.
Mm.
You basically start the game and then start attacking these things, and it's the same amount you're going to do from there. So yeah, Sea of Thieves.
See
I
if
think
it was,
still keep trying it.
yeah, it's good. It was good fun. It was good fun.
It was fun, yeah. I mean, obviously, being disparaging. I'm being disparaging in the sense of as a game for me to play forever. No, but as a game, just if me, you, and Jose jumped on and just had a bit of a laugh, yeah, I'd give that a chance. That's where the fun lies for me.
Defo, good. It was a good choice. It was a good choice.